Hello guys, welcome to the next session of implementing CRUD operations using Angular version 16 and Spring Boot version 3. So till now we have completed all the application and we have seen how we can implement the APIs using Spring Boot version 3 and how we can implement UI using the Angular version 16. So in this session, I'm just going to show you how you can set up the project on your local machine so that if you just need any help from the coding perspective, then you can just set up the project on your local machine and you can just practice it. So in this session I'm just going to show you how you can set up the Spring services on your local machine. In the next session I'll just show you how you can set up the Angular application on your local machine. So let's see how we can set up the Spring services on our local machine. So now in order to set up the services on your local machine, what you have to do, you have to go to this particular link. This link I will give into the description box, and over here you can just click on the code and then you can just click on the code over here, and then you can just maybe download the zip file, or maybe you can just use this git clone command. So in order to use the git clone command, you have to copy this particular URL, and then we can just go to the location where we want to set up this project. So I will just give the name like CRUD YouTube dash project, something like this, and inside this folder I want to set up my services. So what we have to do, at this particular location we have to open the terminal, or if you are using Windows you have to open the git bash, or maybe the command prompt, whatever you want to use. So let me just open the terminal, something like this, and then over here what we have to do, we have to give a command git clone, and then we have to paste the URL, something like this, and let me just hit the enter. Now it will just try to clone the repository. So once the cloning is done, what we have to do, we can just go to inside this folder and you will find this particular folder created. Now what we have to do, we have to just open the IntelliJ or Eclipse, whatever you want, you can just open it. And then once we open, the next thing that we have to do is we have to click on file, and then we have to open the new folder. So we have to like browse a folder. So let me just browse these services and let me click on open. Let me just trust the project and let me just open it to this particular window. And then it will just take some time to scan all the files, and it will just like take some time to do some indexing. And once the indexing is done, we will get this particular folder structure at the left hand side. Now make sure while doing all this process, make sure you are connected to the internet, because like we have some dependencies added, and in order to resolve those dependencies we have to make sure that we have connected to the internet. The next thing that we have to do is we have to go to these src main and then resources. We have to go to this application dot properties file. Over here we have few properties to modify. So first property that we have to look into is a port number. So I have given it as a 9090. If you want to change the port number, you can just change it. The next thing that we have to look into is this particular URL, which is nothing but our MySQL URL. So this is the local host and this is the port number of MySQL. If you are running it and if you have kept all your settings, the default settings, then this will be the same for you also. The one thing that we have to do is we have to create the database having the name CRUD_YouTube. So let me just go to the MySQL workbench, and over here let me just create a schema. Let me just give this particular name. Let me just click on apply and then apply, and then the database will get created, something like this. We can just keep this database as a default database. As of now it is empty one, we don't have any tables inside it. The next thing that we have to look into this username and password. So both of these properties are for MySQL, so we have to give username for MySQL and then the password for this particular user. We have to give these two properties. At very first stage we have to use this property as a create, because we are running it as a first time, so we can just make it as a create, something like this, and rest we can keep it as it is. Now once we are done with these changes, we can just run the file. And in order to run the file, what we have to do, we have to go to the Java and then the CRUD application, and then over here we can just right click and we can just run the CRUD application, something like this. Now we have to just wait till the application gets started. Now the application is started and we are able to see the message on the console, which is like started CRUD application in a few seconds. And then over here you will be able to see the port number on which your application or maybe the Tomcat server is running. Now once you got the same message, you can just do one thing. You can just go to the MySQL workbench and you can just refresh your database. And now if you just expand the tables, you should be able to see some tables over here. So as of now, these tables will not have any data. So as you can see, this is the empty table. And in order to test these APIs, what we can just do, we can just maybe, let me just show you. We can just go to the src main java, and then we can just go to the controller. Inside the controller, we have all the APIs that we require. So maybe we can just test those. So let's first of all use these save employee API. So this is the save employee API, and let me just click on send, and we got the response something like this. Let me just click on send again. I'll just keep those details as it is. So now the two entries are entered into the database. If I just go to the database and if I just try to refresh these SQL command, we should be able to see the two different records over here. And there is one more API that we can just test, maybe this get employee. Let me just click on send. Yes, we are getting those two employee details as a response. So now we are done with the setting up these services on our local machine. If you still have any questions, let me know into a comment section and I will try my best to help you out in that case. I hope you enjoyed this session. I'll see you in the next session.